during the segment there about Rick Santorum looking more presidential these days.
He's looking like a completely different guy than he did at the beginning of this campaign. He started off being very kind of weak, and shoulders were slumped, and he was talking softly. Now he looks like he's got some real energy. He's obviously picked up a lot of confidence. Why wouldn't he?
Maybe Richard, it's because he took that sweater vest off. What do you think?
I think it's because he took the sweater vest off, and to be perfectly honest, he's having a huckaboom. That's what I wrote a piece about this morning. I mean, he's just having a huckaboom. He's done great. He had a late-minute surge. And if you look at the entrance polling that we saw in Iowa from last night, we saw that he did really well amongst the middle-class voters, and that's going to be very important going into the general election in November, where Mitt Romney did horrible amongst middle-class voters. Rick Perry really did well, and so I think that I'm not Rick Perry. I'm sorry. Rick Santorum. I'm getting all the Ricks confused this morning.
Well, what about Rick Perry? He said he was going back to Texas, and the next thing I hear from his Twitter feed is that he's headed to South Carolina, and it's all good.
I really think Rick Perry is out of there. I really do. I don't think he really has a shot. He really didn't have a good showing last night, and I don't think he'll have a good showing in South Carolina.
Bob, what do you think?
Yeah, I think he's an also-ran at this point. What's a very, very interesting thing to me is, though, the way that some of the apparatuses that have been put in place over the last few years are shaping this election behind the scenes. I mean, for example, the Mitt Romney Super PAC spent millions and millions and millions of dollars in Iowa cutting Newt Gingrich off at the knees. And,
and it seemed to work.
And it worked.
Yeah.
Now, whether that's going to work in the long run, in the sense that Mitt Romney doesn't, he carries a grudge. And, he's the kind of guy, and Rick Perry is too, that will fight back. They're not used to getting that level of negative attack in a primary. I mean, a general election is a different story.
Romney has a pretty powerful organization. He's got a lot of money. Santorum apparently was having trouble paying his charter bus bills or something in Iowa. And Romney is planning to spend a lot of money moving forward. There's a primary in New Hampshire next week, and then you got South Carolina, and you got Florida at the end of the month. And he's got the money to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on TV ads. Is he, at this point, Richard, a foregone conclusion?
I think what it really boils down to, Rick, is pretty simple. The fact that Mitt Romney has so much money, and his related super PACs have so much money, what that's going to do for him is that's going to allow him to amplify his message. While the rest of the 4 or 5 candidates in the field sort of battle it out amongst each other, Mitt Romney will always be one step ahead of the game, and that's going to be the key going into New Hampshire and South Carolina. The good news to Rick Santorum is that Rick Santorum will have the ability to raise money now that he's seen as a top-tier candidate. The bad news for Rick Santorum is that all the super PAC money is now going to be focused on him. He's going to have a big bullseye target on his back, and a lot of people are going to really go after him because he's seen as a front runner. And at the end of the day, the one person that you really can't leave out of this equation is Ron Paul. I mean, Ron Paul had that quiet stealth ground operation. He got off of network cable television, and he really focused on talking to the voters of Iowa. I think we'll see that same type of organization in New Hampshire as well as South Carolina.
And he was a pretty close third. He was a pretty close third. The headline Drudge was Mormon. It was America. Mormon from Massachusetts wins Iowa, which is pretty stunning to some people. But I want to